1. I started out bartending in the noughties, and the craze at the time was martinis. Everything was a martini: lemon drop, apple, coffee, chocolate, Cosmo, and 1,000 variations. People seemed to take perverse pleasure in telling you how they wanted it made, and those people also tended to be idiots. I once had a lady yell at me because I put ice in the shaker, and she was mad because she asked for it dry. Another jackass would say, "You know, James Bond ruined the martini because there really is supposed to be stirred, otherwise it bruises the gin," every fucking time he ordered a drink. They also took forever and used so much dishware. But my favorite martini story was the hammerhead guy. So a group comes up to my bar and orders a round of whatever the fuck martinis, and the last guy goes, "Oh, we'll take a hammerhead." And I have no idea what it is. I try to look it up in my martini cheat book and nothing. So I go back to the guy and I'm like, "Hey, I'm sorry, but I'm not sure what a hammerhead is. Can you walk me through it?" He gives me a smirk and goes, "It's vodka, Cointreau, and a splash of cranberry." And I'm like, "Oh, you mean a cosmopolitan?" And he's like, "No, a hammerhead." Some background. A cosmopolitan, or Cosmo, was a staple and pretty iconic part of the Sex and the City show. And it's really that show that deserves all the credit and blame for the martini craze. It also is a pretty drink with a light pink color. For these reasons, it was ordered by a lot of female fans of the show and lovers of the color pink. In other words, it wasn't considered a very manly drink, even though they're fucking tasty and it's basically a glorified vodka cranberry. Anyway, the guy leans in and goes, "Listen, I know it's a Cosmo, but I don't want to order a Cosmo, so when I say hammerhead, just make me the drink." And with that, he slides a 20 across the bar. So every time he asked for a hammerhead, that is what he got. He ended up becoming a regular and one of my favorite customers. He was also a big guy and a trainer or an assistant coach for a local pro team. So his normal volume was loud. It wasn't long before other guys were ordering hammerheads, and there was nothing funnier than having a table where the women had Cosmos and the men were drinking hammerheads. Last thing, Hammerhead Guy does this in this story, and it's a great trick. If you ever want amazing service, especially if you are at an event with an open bar, then try pre-tipping your bar staff. Give them a $20 to $50 and ask them to remember your order, and 9 times out of 10, not only will they remember your drink, but they will hook you up if they can. Skip the line for served, free drinks, shots, etc. It doesn't work every time, and don't be a dick about it, but most of the time you're golden. Also, you still have to tip as you would normally. 2. For some context, at work we have flyers that offer free products to customers who fill out a survey. To make sure you're actually a paying customer, you're required to type in the order number from your receipt. The idea is you take the flyer and your receipt home, fill it out, and bring it back another day. Unfortunately, the only people who actually do it buy the cheapest item on the menu and then stand there and fill it out. I wouldn't mind, but it always ends up causing unnecessary interruptions when people want you to hold their hand and walk them through each step. Which is something I simply don't have time for and was not trained to do. It also doesn't help that I was running the store alone today. So a couple comes up and the husband orders a drink. While I'm making it, I can hear them bickering over why the wife did not order anything, and she is discreetly trying to show her husband the flyer. So I come back with their drink, hand them the receipt, and walk away quickly because it's awkward. I had a delivery order to make anyway, so I just start making that and waiting for the couple to leave. They don't leave, they just keep standing there. There's a line forming behind them because they think it's okay to stand in front of the counter for 10 minutes while they do a survey. I walk back over.
The survey isn't working. What code do I need to type in?
This is the code right here. I point to the code on the receipt.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It didn't work.
Well, sorry, ma'am. That is the code that works for everyone else.
I need the other code. Give me the code from that receipt you threw out.
It wasn't a receipt, just an order slip, which I took out of the trash to show her. The code is on your receipt right there. I point again. I can't really give you anything else. Would you like me to reprint the receipt?
No, I have a receipt. You need to make it work.
Well, sorry, ma'am. I can't do anything with the surveys. If there is an issue with the survey, you can email corporate, and they will assist you with that. Is there anything else I can do for you? The husband, who has been silent to this point, wife even ordered for him, stomps forward, snatches up a flyer, and thrusts it into my face.
You see this logo? This is your logo, right? For your corporation. Isn't this your corporation? So shouldn't you know about this stuff?
No, this is not my corporation. You think I own an international multi-million-dollar corporation? This is a franchise, so the owner of this store does not even own the corporation. And even if he did, I just work here for minimum wage, so it's not like I care.
Oh, I know.
Would you like to move to the side while you figure out your survey? I have other customers to serve. They walked out of the store visibly upset and embarrassed, and the man behind them gave them the meanest stare on the way out. All over a $3 item. I would like to add, that was the code. I think she typed it in wrong the first time, and then refused to try it again. 3. I've been a server for 8 years. Up until today, if anyone had asked me for my worst table ever story, I'd shrug and have to think. I work at a restaurant and a hotel for some context. On Mondays, we don't have an official host because it's typically slow. So when a table walked in, I sat them in my section as it was my turn. I take their drink order, which includes 2 chocolate milkshakes. This takes a long time to make as the ingredients are in different places, plus blending and decorating. While my supervisor Rachel sat me another table. On my turn, she's so sweet but not the best at this job. And they were right beside my original table. I was too busy making milkshakes to help them immediately, so I asked Rachel to start them. Anyway, I finally finish making the shakes and go to take their order. I can see and hear Rachel taking the table she sat's food order. She finished first as there is only 3 people and 5 at mine. She takes the closest computer to type it in, so I have to walk further back into the kitchen for the other computer. She rings in their order first. Obviously, the smaller and first table rung in will get their food first. I finish delivering their food, and I hear a very loud and rude-sounding "Excuse me" from my first table. I go up to them, and they're upset that a table came in after them and got their food first. I politely explained that their order had just been taken first and typed in first, and it shouldn't be much longer. She says, well, it's been 30 minutes. It had, but I'm not a chef, so I cannot magically make them cook faster. I was a bit shocked with how rude they were, since I thought they were nice and hadn't realized it had been so long. I spin on my heel after this conversation to go straight to the kitchen to check on their food, but I'm immediately stopped by the husband. Excuse me, I have asked someone else for coffee and never got it. You come here with a pot and don't fill it up? Like, what are you doing? He said this so rudely it really hurt my feelings, as it comes across that he was insulting me personally. I apologize and fill it up and run back to the kitchen. My co-worker was just passing my table's food into our window. I told them how they were being rude to me, so they each took 2 plates of food out, and I followed with the last dish. I brought the creamer that they needed, and that was that. About 2 minutes later, I see Rachel talking to them. The husband had ordered eggs Benny, with the eggs on the softer side. He told Rachel he wanted it poached hard. No, he didn't. We had a conversation about it. Whatever. They get a 25% discount for waiting, and the eggs. Rachel told me she would take care of them now because they're bitches. So I continue taking care of my other tables, but have to walk past them every time. I avoid eye contact. At one point I heard them loudly telling Rachel they knew I could hear how they had to say "excuse me" to get me to come over, and basically telling on all of my mistakes. More time later, I noticed they were done and let Rachel know they looked ready for the bill. I started cleaning the table next to them and bringing the dishes to the dish pit. Rachel comes up and asks if the shakes are included in the kids' meals. They are not. Pop or juice is included, not a full-size milkshake. You heard promoting them anyway, she doesn't want to argue. I'm back cleaning the table next to them, and they're paying. Again, loudly having a conversation, knowing damn well I could hear, asking about how the tip works. They made it clear as day they only wanted to tip Rachel and not let me have any. Rachel says she can take the tip. Supervisors don't take tips here, and of course she gave me the amazing tip of $5 they had left. Not that I wanted their damn money anyway. I wish I had said I didn't want their money and they could leave, but I didn't. So if you get double sat, tell someone else to start it and they instead take the order. When you have to take 10 minutes to make milkshakes instead of their order, that's quite a few other tables ahead of their order. Plus room service, plus takeout orders. There is only 2 cooks on the line, and someone else forgets to tell you to fill up his coffee, then you're a terrible person. It baffles me how rude people can be, and I hate it when supervisors let them have all the discounts they want. 4. It's been about a year since I started waitering. It's not the first time I've cried over a bad encounter with a customer, although in general it's pretty easy to get my tear ducts going. I don't handle stress that well. Anyways, after I checked this guy's vaccination card, I seated him and took his order. I went to take care of some to-go orders. He pops up to the front counter, asking if he can use the bathroom. No problem, happens all the time. For context, we do have a bathroom. It doubles as a supply closet. However, we're told not to allow customers to use it unless it's a true emergency or they're pregnant. It's because in order to access the bathroom, you have to go through the kitchen. Over here, it's an actual violation. Dangerous too. There was a near accidental stabbing once. To let customers into the kitchen, especially to access the bathroom. Instead, we redirect them to neighboring restaurants and businesses that have an accessible bathroom. So I told the guy we don't have one and gave him directions to a nearby fast food joint that did. He started turning around in a way a person does out of disbelief. I figured he was simply thinking. He didn't say anything more and returned to his table. Not a moment later, I bring his order out and the first thing he says is, "I'm pretty sure it's a health violation not to have a bathroom." And I decided to be honest from here and said that we do have one. Told him why we didn't usually permit customers for the above reasons. He told me that we needed to think of a solution, and I told him that's why we redirect customers. But if he wanted to speak to the chef, he could. We always ask the chef if customers can go to the bathroom because they're the ones that clear a path and tidy up. He said no, said he was going to report us, called this inhumane. Asked me if I ever went to a restaurant that didn't have a bathroom. I don't think I had the chance to answer before he said, "Exactly." He had his phone out, looked like a Google search page. Maybe that's how he got his research. He didn't even look at his food, didn't eat it, didn't pay for it either. I was too shocked into silence to even bring up the bill. His tone didn't help. It felt so passive-aggressive throughout. He was clearly upset. I could feel my throat swell, ready to tear up. It was a relief that it was a slow day, still it sucked working through it while I was still teary. I couldn't help but wonder what I could have done better. I didn't want to argue or stir up trouble. I told my coworkers what happened later on. We searched up if it was truly a violation. Over here, if you look it up, without reading thoroughly, Google says it is a violation for businesses. But it's only a specific square feet. We're a small place here, over a decade old, and we were actually exempt from the rules. Required to provide bathrooms for employees, but not customers. It makes sense, especially since we passed the health inspection checks. This building is old and in a plaza. We don't have the freedoms to magically expand the place. Even though I know the customer was in the wrong, I feel like pure horseshit. Just needed to get this out. 5. Got hired by a local family-owned all-you-can-eat sushi restaurant. The manager, V, is the owner's daughter. The owner is always saying good job and thank you to me, maintaining our work relationship under good standing. Earlier in the month, a customer sitting at the bar asked V if they got a newbie server working. She replies, "Yes, we're all worried about him." The following day, I overheard V speaking with sushi chefs and another server that, "I'm going to be serving by myself, the only server," or something to that extent, when I was scheduled to work as well, all within earshot. A week later, another server is dropping food off at a table in the corner of the restaurant, and I'm behind him stating, "Behind you." But he didn't hear and turned around, knocking a roll onto the ground and saying that he'll clean it. One of the sushi chefs yelled across the restaurant, told me not to pick up any more sushi from the bar anymore, and do something else. I brought this to the attention of the former manager, who was now working at their sister restaurant, and she informed the current manager, who said we could speak about the issues the following day I worked with her. Sat down with V the following day after her shift. Said she'd like to record the audio for the owner to hear, but I knew it was bullshit. She was trying to cover her own ass and the business. She unempathetically apologized for her behavior, said she regrets saying or doing anything that would hurt my feelings, and for being unprofessional, and that the sushi chef had no power or authority to tell me to stop serving, stating that he'd have him apologize to me, which he hasn't since for over a week now. I don't know what to do, because I have problems remembering items off their menu when serving to tables, and get off task when another server or customer asks me for things, or tasks to help them with. To combat my cognitive issues, I've started using scrap paper to jot down what tables order, and also make a Quizlet to study their sushi rolls. While it's gotten better, I'm getting accused and scapegoated for my mistakes I make while on the clock. For example, a table paid $100 in cash, rest with a card, and the head server came up to me and accused me of undercharging him $100 simply because I put the table in the point of sale. After a few minutes of thinking how this could have happened, as I didn't cash that table out specifically, it turned out another server cashed them out and didn't write "paid $100 cash" or something similar to let other staff know. I'm now the automatic scapegoat if something goes wrong with their front-of-house services, and while I do own up to my mistakes and have been improving, I just don't know what to do, as this is my only source of income. I have prior knowledge of digital marketing, and was studying for my CompTIA A+ core exam before this job, but I have lost focus as it will start making me work 4 to 5 days a week now. Any advice for others that have been in this situation would be helpful. Do I need to disclose that I have a disability? Or are there laws with ADA that would keep the restaurant in line? Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates, episode 166. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do share it with all your friends and family, and anyone you can think of, really. It actually does help when you do that. It really does. Alright, now let's see. Hellfreezer's question of the day. Now, there's a thing that happens to me when I record stories that have sushi in them, when it's like a sushi restaurant. Meaning that I really end up wanting sushi afterwards. Unfortunately, in my local town, the choices for sushi are not abundant. Basically, it's stuff in supermarkets, which varies in quality. Some of it's okay, others not so much. Oddly, some of the best choice locally, although they don't do very big packs, is actually Aldi, believe it or not. And they're very cheap, but it's tiny little packs. So whenever I'm in Aldi, I usually pick up a selection of those and a snack on those while I'm just chilling later that evening. Because to me, sushi is relaxing food. That's how I look at it. There is also my local Morrison's, and theirs is kind of basic. Again, not very big trays. Tesco probably has not the biggest variety, but they offer the biggest trays of them. It's decent quality, but again, not a lot of variety. I suppose I could try making my own, but I don't want to. Anyway, question of the day, yes, well, we're getting there, is what kind of sushi do you prefer? Personally, I'm not fond of the nigiri. I'll eat them if they're in something because they're not inedible. It's just I prefer the rolls in various forms, and this might be sacrilege. It might be sacrilege. I'll eat it in any form, even if it's vegetarian, vegan. If it's got cream cheese in it, I'll eat. I'm good. It's all good for me. Anyway, what do you prefer, if any at all? It's actually something that for years, I was in my 30s the first time I tried it, as I'd always thought, ooh, raw fish. Oh, no. Then I guess I'm at the point now where I'm more eager to try things. You get there sometimes and thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. And I was pleasantly surprised, so it's become one of my little treats now. Anyway, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.